Hi, everybody. Let's talk about knives. These kind of knives, the ones with razor blades in them. And then there's, oh, geez, these mothers don't want to come out. I got Milwaukee and another Milwaukee. So I want to do a little review on these for the day. All right, so we all, in the prepper community anyway, always carry a knife. It's what they call your EDC, your everyday carry. And most of the times, people like carrying folding knives, smaller ones, the Kershaw, the Spyderco, and these things, and they're great knives. Now, these are pretty much pocket knives, in my opinion. They are either made by Milwaukee or Husky. This one's Craftsman. This one here is Weiss, and they'll have their purpose. And most people think of an EDC knife in the prepper community as a pocket knife, like a Buck or a Kershaw or Spyderco. There's a lot of them. And to me, those knives are made for a specific purpose. A lot of the pocket knives, even the longer ones, they're good for skinning. They're good for hunting, bushcraft, and stuff like that. These knives are, in my opinion, everyday carry. And the reason for that is because they're sharp as a razor blade, because they have a razor blade in them. Now this one is similar, and these are the ones I used when I was doing floor covering. There's 4 cutting edges, 1, 2, and then on the other side 3, 4. You use it right, you can get a lot of carpet cut or linoleum if you're using it for that. You can use it for quite a few things, but it's not a pocket knife. It is a scary kind of knife. Now this is a similar knife. If I can get it to open. And this is also a kind of like what I call a carpet knife, but a lot of people use them for different things. But it also has the same type of slotted razor blade in it. And this one has a square tip, which I'll show you a picture of the round tip and the square tip here in a close-up. And they are really considered the Bloody Mary. They have an overbite on them, so that way the blade can't pivot up and take your finger off, which I have seen happen in some of the older, cheaper knives and such. This is what you would normally call a pocket knife. This is a Kershaw. It's been around the block many times. It used to be sharp, not so much anymore. And, if you're carrying it around everyday carry and it's not sharp, then you really just have a letter opener, because that's about as good as this would be as a letter opener. It's not sharp. It's pokey, and, a tanto blade can pierce pretty well. It locks good, so it would do that. But what I'm wanting to review here are more of these type knives. Now, this is my newest one. This is a Craftsman. It opens differently. It doesn't have the push button, and it locks. And then you put your blade in here, and it also has razor blade storage. You can get a couple more blades in there if you're lucky. This is an old one I had. It closes even a little more complicated. They're all razor blade knives, slotted or, like these. And then these ones are more like this type of blade. I don't know if you can see that. They open up nice and easy. These are the Milwaukee. Very nice, very cool, and I like them a lot. This is another Milwaukee that I have, a little bit bigger. It doesn't have anywhere to keep razor blades, I don't think. Yeah, it's got a few extra blades in there if you want. And it also has this area here for wire stripping, which I didn't know that until I watched another guy's review of the Milwaukee knife. And then I was like, oh, I always thought that was for cutting seatbelts and straps. But no, that works in the trades for a wire stripper. Kind of cool. And then this is just another one that's the same, but it does not have the extra for storage for blades. So the pros for these are they're not really like a true pocket knife in the sense of a woodsman or a bushcrafter or a prepper. These wouldn't really be considered EDC knives. You know, most of those guys like these things, you know, a knife like that. And depending on the blade structure and style, it would be good for skinning, you know, small game, rabbit and stuff, or even big games if you keep it sharp enough and everything like that. And that's, you know, what they would consider everyday carry. This is what I consider everyday carry for a tradesman, a craftsman, somebody that works in the field doing electrical or drywall, plumbing, floor covering, anything. You know, I've used this type of blade doing floor covering most of my life for cutting padding and stuff like that. We used to have to sharpen them back in the old days because blades were kind of expensive back then. But then we always bought the Persona blades that were extremely sharp and used them more for that profession. But nowadays, you know, you're opening boxes, you're stripping wire, you're doing a lot of things to where you need a blade. So why would you have one of these instead of something like this, you know, Buck or Kershaw or something like that? Well, the beauty of it is when it gets dull, you just put a new blade in it. So it's always sharp. And a sharp knife is the way you want to keep it. If you're fiddle farting around with a dull knife, odds are you're going to be trying, you're going to be forcing, and it's going to slip and you're going to cut yourself. I've seen people get cut really bad with a dull blade because they were trying too hard. They switched their grip on it and started cutting towards them instead of away from them, and they get hurt. So you want a sharp blade, and that's the beauty of these types of knives. Now they also have this blade, and I'll show you a picture of that. And when you put that in one of these knives like this, you have more of a little hook, which comes in real handy for getting under something like carpet. If you want to glue down carpet and you want to cut it in strips, you can take one of these and cut this way, but all the dirt and dust in it, it's going to dull the blade. And then as you poke through it and you hit the concrete, then it's going to even ruin the tip of the blade. Where this type of blade, you get it up in there, you hook it down on there, and you just slide it along, and you're not sliding it on a sharp piece. You're sliding it along the concrete, and then your carpet or whatever you're pulling up, this would do it. Now, this would be good for maybe trying to get the cardboard tube off of a Sona tube. You could start it that way, pull on it. You haven't dulled it immediately by hitting rocks and concrete. You get that in there and you pull it, and then you follow that circle around, and then you can pull it because these are extremely strong, very sharp, and they don't have to be wicked sharp. They just have to have a decent enough hook to them. So there's that. I don't have a favorite brand. This is the newest one I bought last night. It's a Craftsman. I kind of like it because it holds the blades differently up here, and it's just kind of cooler. I'm not a fan of how I have to undo it and do it. It's kind of like a normal, you know, pocket knife like this, where you have to click that little thing over to get it to release, and that's what you have to do with this. Nice safety feature, I guess, you know, if you're into that, you know. But these lock also just as good, and they're not going to open up in your pocket. Once they click, they're not going to close up when you're putting force on them, because that's what sucks. So I don't have a favorite. You know, there's pros and cons with either type of knife. I find these to be my favorite go-to knife nowadays for probably 90% of my daily activities, because of their sharpness, I cannot stand a dull knife. And so I always have it to where I can change the blade, and that's why I like these two that have the the ability to carry a few extra blades. I guess that ain't going to let me open it unless I do that, which is probably a safety thing. So that would be the biggest pro of this type of knife, is the readily available knife blades you can buy. You can buy them in packs of 100. They're not that expensive. That package of 100 will last you a long time, and you keep your tool nice and sharp. Can you use this point for a Phillips screwdriver? No, you really can't. But then you're not supposed to use this for a Phillips screwdriver either, even though we have all done it, and you know you have. But and this one even has that, so you could almost use it for a regular screwdriver tip. Now, I call them plus or minus. To me, Phillips screws are considered the plus, and the flat ones or the straight are minus. So this is my knife review on these types of knives. Why I carry them? Because they're always sharp, and they're cheap. If I lose one, if I drop it down the concrete tube while I'm doing something, I don't care. It was anywhere from $7 to $10. I'm going to get over it. This Kershaw, when it was new, was over $100. And so if you've carried around good pocket knives like Buck, Kershaw, and all that, those are more dress knives actually. When you think about it, you're wandering around. You want people to be able to look at it and go, "Wow, nice Buck knife." But if you dull it, cutting something like cardboard will destroy the edge of a blade really fast. It's not friendly. There's ceramic blades, but those are shattered, but they're always really sharp. So you have to go, why am I carrying this knife with me? To open boxes, to do things. This is so dull. It's basically, like I said, a letter opener. But if you want to open things, if you want to strip wires, there's a million uses for a good sharp knife. And you don't need, a 9-inch fighting blade. You just need that. So that's why I carry it around. Also, if I'm being an asshole and speeding and I get pulled over and I get out of the car, because I like to stand on the side of the road, so if some dumbass hits the cop car, I don't die, and neither does the police officer. If they see this in your pocket, this is a tool. It even says Milwaukee Craftsman. He's not going to freak out because you're carrying some tactical fighting knife, or those, what do they call them, knives that ninjas carry around, they're like nunchucks, but they're knives. Folding switchblade things. Switchblades are illegal and all that. This, if I pull it out of my pocket, if the cop goes, "You have a weapon," I go, well, I got this. I wouldn't even have to open it. I go, "Here, I got this. Set it on the dashboard, officer." It's just, and odds are he's going to go, "Oh, it's a utility knife. No big deal." He doesn't think this is going to cut through Kevlar. You know why? Because it's not going to cut through Kevlar. Now I have a tactical fighting knife that has a blade on it that will pierce Kevlar all day, every day. But that's not what this is. So you're not going to get harassed, driving around. And like I say, 90% of the time, that is what I use this for: opening things, cutting things, cutting open rolls of underlayment, installing underlayment under laminate flooring sometimes when I have to do that. If I'm on a job and I'm doing a repair, if I got to cut carpet, I can have this, which I keep in my truck all the time, that will cut carpet the same as this one does. And I can fold it back up, put it in my car, keep it. I could put it in my pocket as long as I'm on the job working. I'm not laying it 24/7 all the time. I'm just doing repairs. This is pretty damn handy because I can keep it in my pocket and not slice my leg open. These things here will cut carpet pad. If I'm laying laminate or doing a repair on laminate in somebody's house, I can put a tool liner in my toolbox with this. I can do it so many things with a good utility knife. And that's why I've become spoiled and carry them all the time. This was my first one I found somewhere in here when I was remodeling. And, it's all right. It's actually, it's just as small and as any of these and just as thin as these. and stuff. I just don't like this little clip that you have to slide over to open this thing, because when it gets a little dirty or gets dirt on it or gets rusty, you try to pull that open with your thumbnail and you'll break that nail off and get down to the quick, and it sucks. But that's the problem with this one. It's the only problem with it, because the rest of it is pretty damn nice. That one I found, I started using it, and that's when I realized just how cool these things really are. So that's my review. I'm not talking about one brand over another one, because the 90% made the same way. Like I said, the only difference in this one is the way it locks and unlocks, whereas the Milwaukee is more button type. The Husky is kind of a button type, but because of the blade, I don't really need it to like that. I can carry this. So the Milwaukee is pretty nice. I haven't tried. Cobalt has a nice one. And I think Milwaukee has a new one that actually has the screwdriver bit that pulls out and locks. And it has a Phillips and a straight on it. And it's magnetic, so you can, when you're doing shit during the day, out working. I have a Kershaw that has that opens up, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bits in it, and it really isn't much bigger than this bad boy. The only thing wrong with it is it doesn't lock open, so when you're trying to tighten or loosen a screwdriver, it keeps wanting to close on you, which drives me nuts. But the one from Milwaukee seems like it locks in place just like this, and then that way when you're screwing, it works that way. But it only has the 2 blades or the 2 bits. But that doesn't mean, that most of the time when you're out and about, unless you're going to find a Torx bit or one of those, safety bits where you need a special little thing with a hole in it. But most of the time you're going to want to take off a light switch. You got a flat. You want to take out a screw because it's in your way. You got that. And then you have a really sharp knife. So I'm thinking about buying that one next. And maybe I'll do a quick review on it, or at least show you it down the road. So I hope this helped. Click the like button if you liked it. Share it if you think I brought something to the table. Leave a comment if you think of something that you would like to see me do or have me do, or have advice, because I'm new at this review thing. Then let me know, and I will try to level up and step up my performance. defundbureaucracy.org is my website, or one of them, where I believe in that bureaucracy is what's destroying America, and Congress don't seem to care. So there's that. But everything is on prepperguy.com, and that's where you can also leave comments, and all these videos will be on there. Slowly working on that. So thank you for watching. Thank you if you give me a comment. Love you long time if you click the like button, and then if you share it, well, shit, then you're on my happy Christmas list. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.
We've made too many compromises already. Too many retreats. They invade our space, and we fall back.
I'm your huckleberry.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
That's just my game.